Welcome back to our episode of The Corporate Shift. My name is Ingrid H. Turner. I am the spiritual advisor here at Corporate Hippie Connection. So listen up, my loves. We are going to put a pin in our Corporate Shift videos for the rest of the winter. We are working on some really exciting projects in-house. We got big things happening. And so we are rearranging and moving bits around to ensure that everybody has the space and time and wherewithal to focus on their gifts, their most exalted contribution to what's going on within this ecosystem. So one of the things we decided is to just pin up our Corporate Shift videos. So this is going to be the last one for the winter, the fall and the winter. And, but please don't go anywhere because we have lots of amazing things happening and coming out of this container, out of this ecosystem. So you won't be seeing my face on here every week on the Corporate Hippie Connection pages, but if you do want to keep seeing my face, you can follow me on my own pages. You can search for Ingrid H. Turner on any of the platforms, or you could also hook up with my nonprofit organization, the Baba Spiritual Mission, and both of those are linked in the websites, and the social media pages are linked in the description below if you want to hang out and see like what I'm doing, what we're doing with Corporate Hippie Connection, and all of that stuff. So boom, boom, boom. Here's the thing I want to talk to you about before I leave you for a little while. I want to really help us understand self-sabotage and how self-sabotage can creep up on us and we can just not even recognize that that is happening. Okay, so, and this comes up around, this is really tied into fear. Okay, the fear that humans experience. Having fear and self-doubt is a really normal part of the human experience, and it's especially normal and sometimes really pronounced for people like you who are out on the bleeding edge, who are on that creative bleeding edge. You're out there just pushing the envelope, pushing your own personal envelope, pushing the cultural envelope, the business, the creative envelope. So, you know, the massive fear can come up for you. But remember this, the amount of fear you have is directly proportionate to the amount of power that you possess. And your fear is going to be most pronounced when you are right on the cusp of expanding into new energy, of increasing your potency and your power and bringing that out into the world. And what you have to do, you have the option to shrink back into what is comfortable or to expand into this new energy, expand through the fear. And I'm gonna give you a couple of tips and tricks to help you identify your fear and what it's saying to you. Okay, so when you feel that fear right before an expansion and you feel like you're in this limbo place and you're stepping up to something new, you're kind of taking a step up, a rung up the ladder, this is how I want to shift what I'm doing, this is my next calling, you can get to this place where it feels like you're at a plateau or you feel like you're in limbo. You feel like, or maybe you feel like you're working, but it's like you're not getting the gains from it. Maybe like the resources aren't coming in, or you feel like the resources are leaving and things are shifting. And that can be a really scary time because humans, we like a fair amount of security. Even those of us who are like refuse the status quo and want to break out and do our own thing, humans are still pretty security conscious. Like, we're kind of risk averse. We have to make ourselves take the risk because we know that the potential benefit on the other side is mind-blowingly cool. But when you get into that place, when like you don't have anything else that's like any other branch to grab onto, like you don't have a salary job, or you don't have an investor, or you don't have family money, you know, it's like, something is shifting and it feels really scary. And we want to, when we start to feel that anxiety in our body, that fear, what your mind's gonna want to do is hook it onto something and try and get you to contract back into what's familiar. Maybe I'll just go back to what was working. Maybe I'll just do this over here and just to stay a bit safe. And you might do that a couple of times. But ultimately, that anxiety, the mind is telling you that it's fear, and the mind tells you that fear means you have to stop doing that. You have to run, you have to stay where it's safe. But what I'm gonna tell you is that fear that you're feeling when you're just really expanding into new energy, when you're changing your offering maybe, or you're shifting your business, or you're moving in a new direction, that fear that you feel in that moment between when it hasn't quite hit the mat because you're shifting, That is not fear. The mind is telling you that it's a fear thing and it's dangerous and you have to go back. But really, I want you to think of it like this. It's just a physical symptom of growth. Just like growing pains when you were a kid. If you had growing pains, those were uncomfortable, those were awful. You're like, I used to wake up in the middle of the night like weeping because my legs hurt so badly. I had them really bad. Some people didn't have them at all, but if you had growing pains, like those are not fun. But it was only because, it didn't mean anything. It was because your body was growing. Your anxiety and fear, when you're growing your business, it's the same thing. Okay, it's the same thing as, it's like an energetic growing pain. So the ways that we self-sabotage our expansion is we believe the stories in our head about the fear-based stories, like, oh, this isn't safe. Oh, I have to do something else. And then we contract and we go, okay, maybe I'll just go back to what is safe. Oh, okay, and then you have your baseline and you're kind of running with that, but you're not satisfied, or maybe you're burning out and you know you need to shift it. So you do it again, you expand, you go, okay, I'm gonna shift it again. And then you go, This time, when you're expanding, I want you to trust the process, bolster your faith, expand into new energy because it's going to be a whole new paradigm for you. This is how you're meant to be expressing yourself now. Because you're on the bleeding edge, you're not going to do the same thing for years on end. You're just not. You're always going to be evolving. You're always going to be expanding, always going to be growing. As you expand, your offerings expand. As you expand, your business expands. As you expand, your partnerships expand. Your employees expand. All of it expands and changes. It's always going to be shifting and changing. That's the nature of the creative being, is a constant shift and change. But all humans, even when we want that change, we're also hardwired to resist the change. And that's where that fear comes in. But I'm telling you, the fear, your brain is lying to you. Your mind cannot be trusted. The mind is a survival mechanism. It's here to tell you all the problems to keep you safe and keep you alive, keep you breathing. You gotta tap into your heart and you gotta say, I got you, mind, but I'm leading with my heart, and the mind can come in and execute after the fact and solve all the problems and fill in all the holes. But first, the heart. First, the expansion, okay? So look at how you're behaving when you get nervous or anxious or feel like things aren't coming in, things aren't coming to fruition as quickly as you would like them to. Do you start to get into the minutia? Do you stop delegating and start wanting to take control back? Like, I'll just do it myself. That's something I did this week. I have hired a person to do my website. And then I had them on this task over here, and I decided, you know what, I'll just do the web work and I won't bother them over here because I just got to do this. This is what I'm going to do. So what did I do? I went in and became an operator of my business and spent like 2 hours tweaking this website that would have taken her about 15 minutes or 30 minutes to do, because I was avoiding the work of creating a structure that is the next iteration of my offering, but it's outside my comfort zone. And so my fear brain went, well, let's just hyper focus on the web page and just tweak it and perfect it and get it all up and running before I start creating the container, before I start creating the content. No. That's backwards. What I recognized is I need to be doing my best work, my genius work, which is creating incredible content, bringing my spiritual service out there to other spiritual entrepreneurs, to spiritual leaders and healers and mystics. That's my Ingrid H. Turner and my Bava work, and not over here futzing with a web page. She could have done it in 30 minutes. And I could have been over here halfway through my content. You know what? I haven't even started on it because I've been hyper focused on that, because my fear has taken me into, well, this is what's safe and what's comfortable. All right, my job is to expand through that. Your job is to expand through that fear. So notice where you're being like an operator, micromanaging, taking ownership and completing tasks that somebody else could easily do because you're avoiding doing the thing that's going to up-level you because you're scared, because it's not showing immediate results maybe. All right, so feel into that. Let us know how it feels. Leave a comment. Tell us how this is impacting you, how you deal with self-sabotage, how you notice when you're sabotaging yourself, when you're in that fear mode. How do you consistently and successfully expand through that fearful energy, that anxious energy, and come into the next level you? We're dying to know. We're all here to help each other. Thank you so much. Love you madly. And we'll see you sometime in the new year, okay?